The baby monitor crackled to life at 2:17 a.m., just as I kicked off my boots after another grueling EMT shift. 12 hours of cardiac arrests, overdoses, and domestic violence calls had left me bone-tired, but something in Dana's hushed voice from the kitchen made me freeze. "Mom, I'm telling you, it's foolproof," my wife whispered into her phone. "Once this baby comes, I'll file for divorce. Child support, alimony, the whole apartment. Austin says the system always sides with mothers." Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I pressed myself against the hallway wall, my heart hammering harder than it had during tonight's CPR calls. Austin Reed, that smug dental office manager Dana used to work with before she quit last month. "He's so gullible, Mom. Caleb actually believes I love him. He'll never see it coming. I'll get the apartment, his savings, everything. Austin's already got it all planned out. He's done this twice before with his ex-wives." My hands shook as I pulled out my phone, hitting record. 22 years as an EMT had taught me to stay calm in crisis situations, but hearing your pregnant wife plot your financial destruction while you're risking your life saving strangers. That was a new kind of emergency. "The baby's due in 6 weeks, Dana continued. "Austin says we wait until after the birth. Then boom, divorce papers. Caleb's such a bleeding heart. He'll probably agree to whatever I ask for just to avoid conflict. God, he's pathetic." I recorded every venomous word, my jaw clenched so tight I thought my teeth might crack. Dana's mother's cackle echoed through the phone speaker. "You're brilliant, honey. That EMT salary isn't much, but with alimony and child support, you'll be set. And Austin's got that nice car dealership money." "Exactly. Plus, Austin knows all the legal tricks. His lawyer got him out of paying hardly anything to his second wife, something about hiding assets and making himself look poor on paper." The conversation ended with kisses and love yous that made my stomach turn. I crept back to the front door, then made a show of entering loudly, jangling my keys and calling out, "Hey babe, I'm home?" Dana appeared in the kitchen doorway, all smiles and fake concern. "How was your shift, honey? You look exhausted." I studied her face, the same face I'd been kissing goodnight for 3 years, the face that had promised to love me in sickness and health. Now all I could see was a calculating stranger wearing my wife's skin. "Just the usual chaos," I said, forcing a tired smile. "Saved 2 lives, lost 1. You know how it goes." She nodded sympathetically, one hand resting on her rounded belly. "Well, you're home now. Get some sleep. You've got another double shift tomorrow." As she headed to our bedroom, I pulled out my phone and called the one person I trusted more than anyone, Miriam Keller, the toughest family lawyer in Des Moines. "Caleb, it's 2:30 in the morning. Someone better be dying." "Worse," I whispered, stepping onto our apartment balcony. "Someone's trying to eliminate me financially. I need your help, Miriam. It's about Dana." The next morning, I sat in Miriam's downtown office, playing the recording while she took notes on a yellow legal pad. At 52, Miriam had the reputation of a shark in a pantsuit, with silver hair pulled back in a severe bun and eyes that could cut glass. "Well," she said when the audio finished, "your wife's certainly ambitious. And stupid. Very, very stupid." "What do you mean?" "Iowa's a no-fault divorce state, but it's also an equitable distribution state. That means assets get divided fairly, not automatically 50-50. And here's the beautiful part. This recording proves premeditation. She's planning to defraud you." Miriam leaned back in her leather chair, a predatory smile spreading across her face. "Caleb, by the time we're done with Dana and her boyfriend, they'll wish they'd never heard your name. But we need to be smart about this. No confrontations, no dramatic scenes. We document everything, move your assets legally, and when the time comes, we destroy them in court. What's the first step? You go home and act like the loving, clueless husband. Meanwhile, I'll start the paperwork to protect your pension, your savings, everything. And Caleb, start recording every conversation you can. Iowa's a one-party consent state. As long as you're part of the conversation, it's legal." I left Miriam's office feeling something I hadn't experienced in months. Hope. Dana wanted to play games? Fine. But she was about to learn that this EMT knew a thing or two about serious situations. That evening, I came home with flowers and Dana's favorite takeout from Giuseppe's Italian restaurant. "What's the occasion?" she asked, eyeing the roses suspiciously. "No occasion. Just wanted to spoil my beautiful pregnant wife." I kissed her cheek, inhaling her perfume, the same perfume she'd started wearing after meeting Austin. "I've been thinking, maybe we should start looking at bigger places. You know, for when the baby comes." Dana's eyes lit up like slot machines hitting jackpot. Really? I was actually looking at this gorgeous apartment complex on the west side. The units are twice the size of this place. Sounds perfect. Why don't you set up some viewings? We can go this weekend. She practically bounced with excitement, already reaching for her phone. I'll call Austin. He knows a great real estate agent. Austin? My old manager, remember? He's helped tons of people find places. I nodded, playing the part of the trusting husband while my phone recorded every word. Sure, honey. Whatever makes you happy. As Dana texted furiously, probably telling Austin about her success in manipulating me, I excused myself to the bathroom and sent Miriam a message. Phase 1 complete. She's taking the bait. The reply came back immediately. Good. Now we wait for her to hang herself. The next 2 weeks were a masterclass in deception. Mine and theirs. Dana scheduled apartment viewings, spa appointments, and shopping trips, all with Austin as her faithful companion. She thought she was being clever, but I was documenting everything. My EMT partner, Jake Morrison, noticed my mood during our Thursday night shift. You've been weird lately, Foster. Like weirder than usual. What's eating you? Jake and I had been partners for 5 years, working the overnight shift in Des Moines' roughest neighborhoods. He was built like a linebacker, but had the gentlest hands when treating patients. More importantly, he was loyal as a golden retriever and twice as protective. Hypothetical question, I said as we restocked the ambulance after a cardiac call. If you found out your wife was planning to divorce you and take everything, what would you do? Hypothetically, I'd make sure she regretted ever thinking about it. Why? Dana giving you trouble? I pulled out my phone and played him the baby monitor recording. Jake's expression shifted from confusion to anger to something approaching murderous rage. That conniving little... He caught himself, glancing around the ambulance bay. Caleb, please tell me you're not just going to take this lying down. Oh, I'm not taking it lying down. I've got Miriam Keller working on it. Jake whistled low. Miriam the Shark Keller? Damn, brother. Your wife picked the wrong EMT to mess with? Here's where it gets interesting, I continued. I need your help with something this weekend. Dana's dragging me to look at apartments, and Austin's going to be there. I want to get a good look at this guy, maybe rattle his cage a little. I'm in. What do you need? Just be nearby with your camera phone. I have a feeling Austin's going to show his true colors, and I want it documented. Saturday morning arrived with the kind of crisp October weather that made Des Moines beautiful. Dana had spent an hour getting ready, applying makeup like she was going to a photo shoot instead of apartment hunting. You look amazing, I told her, and meant it. Even knowing what I knew, Dana was still stunning. 5'6" with auburn hair and green eyes that had stopped my heart the first time I saw her at Murphy's Pub 3 years ago. Thank you, baby. I want to make a good impression on the landlords. Right. The landlords, not Austin. We met Austin Reed in the parking lot of Riverside Luxury Apartments, and I got my first real look at my wife's co-conspirator. He was everything I'd expected. 6 feet tall, gym-muscled, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my monthly salary. His smile was all teeth and no warmth, like a shark trying to pass for a dolphin. Caleb, Austin extended his hand with practiced enthusiasm. Great to finally meet you, man. Dana talks about you all the time. I'll bet she does, I thought, shaking his hand with just enough pressure to let him know I wasn't intimidated. Likewise. Thanks for helping us out. Anything for Dana, he said, his eyes lingering on my wife just a beat too long. She deserves the best. The apartment tour was a 3-ring circus of barely concealed flirtation and financial manipulation. Austin made sure to mention the monthly rent, $3,800, multiple times, watching my reaction. Dana oohed and awed over every granite countertop and walk-in closet, playing the role of excited, expectant mother while Austin played the helpful family friend. The master bedroom is incredible, Dana gushed, running her hands along the California king bed frame in the model unit. So much space for activities. Austin's laugh was just a little too knowing. Oh, I bet you two would find plenty of activities for a bedroom this size. I felt my jaw clench, but forced a smile. We're pretty creative. I'm sure you are, Austin replied, but he was looking at Dana when he said it. After the tour, as we stood in the parking lot discussing lease terms, I decided to test the waters. This place is beautiful, but the rent's pretty steep. I mean, on my EMT salary... Oh, don't worry about that, Austin interrupted smoothly. I know plenty of guys who've figured out creative financing. Sometimes life changes, you know? New circumstances, new opportunities. Things have a way of working out. Dana nodded eagerly. Exactly. We shouldn't limit ourselves just because of current circumstances. Current circumstances. Like being married to me. You know what? I said suddenly. Let's do it. Let's put in an application. Dana's face lit up like Christmas morning. Austin looked pleased, but slightly surprised. Neither of them realized I was setting a trap. Really? Dana squealed. Oh my God, Caleb, this is perfect. Anything for my family, I said, pulling her close and kissing her temple. Over her shoulder, I saw Jake Morrison sitting in his pickup truck across the street, phone camera ready. Austin, I can't thank you enough for your help. Dana's lucky to have such a dedicated friend. Something flickered in Austin's eyes. Uncertainty, maybe even suspicion, but Dana was too excited to notice the undercurrent of tension. We should celebrate, she said. Austin, why don't you join us for dinner tonight? Giuseppe's has that amazing seafood special on Saturdays. I'd love to, Austin said, his confidence returning. It'll be fun getting to know Caleb better. Oh, you'll get to know me, I thought, just not the way you're expecting. That evening at Giuseppe's, I played the role of grateful husband while Austin regaled us with stories of his success in helping people transition through life changes. The man was practically writing his own indictment. The key, Austin explained over his third glass of wine, is understanding that sometimes relationships run their course. Smart people recognize that and position themselves accordingly. Position themselves how? I asked innocently. Financially, emotionally, legally? You'd be surprised how many people get trapped in situations that aren't serving them anymore. Take my second marriage. I realized early on that we weren't compatible long term, so I made sure that when we divorced, it was as painless as possible. Painless for who? Austin's smile faltered slightly. For everyone involved, of course. Dana jumped in quickly. Austin's just saying that sometimes people grow apart. It's nobody's fault. Right, I nodded. Though I imagine it's easier for the person who sees it coming. You know, the one who gets to plan ahead while the other person is blindsided. The table went quiet for a moment. Austin's eyes narrowed almost imperceptibly. I suppose, he said carefully, but in my experience, people usually know when their relationships are in trouble. They just choose to ignore the signs. What kind of signs? Oh, distance, different priorities. One person wanting more while the other person is content with less. Dana's hand found mine across the table. Well, we don't have to worry about that, do we, honey? We're solid. I squeezed her fingers gently. Absolutely. I mean, what kind of person plots behind their spouse's back? That would be pretty evil, don't you think? Austin's wineglass paused halfway to his lips. Evil's a strong word. Is it? I think betraying someone who trusts you completely is about as evil as it gets, especially when that person is working their ass off to provide for you and your unborn child. The tension at the table was thick enough to cut with a knife. Dana looked confused and slightly alarmed. Austin looked like a man who just realized he might be in deeper water than he'd thought. Caleb, Dana said carefully, where is this coming from? I smiled and signaled the waitress for the check. Nowhere, babe. Just making conversation. Austin's got me thinking about relationships and trust and all that heavy stuff. As we left the restaurant, Austin pulled Dana aside while I pretended to take a phone call. I couldn't hear their whispered conversation, but Dana's body language screamed panic. Austin kept glancing at me with something that looked suspiciously like fear. Good. Let them wonder what I knew and when I'd figured it out. Uncertainty was a powerful weapon, and I was just getting started. The apartment application was approved within 48 hours, Austin's influence, no doubt. Dana was over the moon, already planning furniture arrangements and nursery colors. She had no idea she was decorating a prison cell. I can't believe we're really doing this, she said, scrolling through baby furniture websites on her laptop. This apartment is going to be perfect for our family. Our family. The words tasted like ash in my mouth. Speaking of family, I said, settling onto the couch beside her, I've been thinking about the baby's future. College funds, life insurance, that sort of thing. Dana looked up from her screen. That's very responsible of you. I made an appointment with a financial advisor for next week. I want to make sure everything's set up properly. Bank accounts, beneficiaries, all that legal stuff. Okay, Dana said slowly. Do I need to be there? Probably. We'll need both our signatures for most things. I kissed her cheek. Don't worry, it's just paperwork. Boring adult stuff. What I didn't tell Dana was that the financial advisor was actually Miriam Keller, and we weren't setting up college funds. We were building a legal fortress around my assets. The next few days passed in a blur of secret meetings and careful documentation. Miriam had me photographing bank statements, recording conversations, and tracking Dana's spending. The woman was spending money like it was going out of style. Spa treatments, expensive maternity clothes, jewelry she claimed was for the baby photos. "She's getting sloppy," Miriam observed during one of our clandestine coffee meetings. "Look at these credit card statements. Dinner for two at expensive restaurants when you're working nights. Hotel charges in the middle of the day. She's not even trying to hide it anymore. She thinks I'm too stupid to notice. Or too in love to care. Either way, it's going to cost her everything." Miriam slid a manila folder across the table. "I've got some interesting information about your boy Austin." I opened the folder to find a thick stack of legal documents. Court records, divorce filings, financial statements, Austin Reed's entire romantic history laid out in black and white. 3 marriages, 3 divorces, Miriam explained. Each time he targeted women with working husbands. Each time he convinced them they deserved better. And each time he helped them file for divorce, and then mysteriously disappeared once the settlements were finalized. He's running a scam. A very successful one. Until now. See, Austin made one crucial mistake with Dana. He picked an EMT's wife. What does that mean? Miriam's smile was razor sharp. EMTs are first responders. You're trained to think fast, stay calm under pressure, and most importantly, you know how to work as a team. Austin's used to dealing with isolated, desperate housewives. He has no idea what he's up against. That weekend, Dana announced she was going to a baby shower for one of her old coworkers. She'd be gone most of Saturday afternoon. "Have fun," I told her, kissing her goodbye. "I'll probably just watch the game with Jake." The moment her car pulled out of the parking lot, I called Jake and our other EMT buddy, Marcus Thompson. Within an hour, we were following Austin's silver BMW to a seedy motel on the outskirts of town. "There's your wife's car," Marcus pointed out, nodding toward Dana's red Honda Civic parked beside Austin's BMW. "Baby shower my ass," Jake muttered. "What's the play, Caleb?" I pulled out my phone and started recording. "We document everything. I need proof they're having an affair." For the next 2 hours, we sat in Jake's pickup truck, taking photos and videos of the motel. When Dana and Austin finally emerged, they were laughing and holding hands like teenagers. Austin had his arm around Dana's waist, his hand resting possessively on her pregnant belly. "That son of a bitch," Marcus growled. "Want me to go have a conversation with him?" "Not yet," I said, though every instinct screamed for violence. "We stick to the plan." But as Austin walked Dana to her car, he did something that pushed me over the edge. He kissed her, not a friendly peck, but a deep, passionate kiss that lasted nearly 30 seconds. Then he whispered something in her ear that made her giggle and blush. That giggle, the same sound she used to make when I surprised her with flowers or told her I loved her, snapped something inside me. "Change of plans," I said, opening Jake's passenger door. "I'm going to introduce myself properly." Austin was walking back to his BMW when I intercepted him in the motel parking lot. Up close, he was even more punchable than I'd remembered. Perfectly styled hair, manicured nails, and a smug expression that screamed entitlement. "Austin!" What a coincidence. He spun around, his face going pale when he recognized me. "Caleb, hey, what are you doing here?" "Funny story. I was driving by and saw Dana's car, thought maybe she'd broken down or something." I glanced toward the motel room they'd just exited. "But she seems fine. Must have been helping someone move, right?" Austin's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. We were... It's not what you think." "Really? What do I think?" "Look, man, I can explain. Please do. Explain to me why my pregnant wife is at a motel with her ex-boss instead of at a baby shower like she told me." Austin straightened up, some of his confidence returning. "Maybe you should ask your wife that question. Maybe I should ask you both. Together. Right now." I pulled out my phone and started dialing Dana's number. Austin's hand shot out to stop me. "Wait. Don't. This doesn't have to get ugly, Caleb." "Ugly? Austin, we're way past ugly. We're in full-blown disaster territory. What do you want?" "I want you to stay away from my wife." Austin laughed. Actually laughed. "Your wife? Dude, wake up. Dana doesn't want to be married to you anymore. She's just too nice to tell you." "Is that what she said?" "Among other things." Austin's smirk returned. "Look, I get it. This sucks for you, but Dana deserves better than some ambulance driver who can barely pay the bills. She deserves someone who can give her the life she wants." "Someone like you?" "Someone like me." I nodded thoughtfully, then smiled. "You know what, Austin? You're absolutely right." His smirk faltered. "I am?" "Dana does deserve better. She deserves honesty, loyalty, respect. All the things you're incapable of giving her." I stepped closer, lowering my voice. But here's what you don't understand. I'm not some pushover husband who's going to roll over and let you destroy my family. I'm an EMT. I've seen what happens when people make really bad decisions. And buddy, you just made the worst decision of your life." Austin tried to look tough, but I could see the fear in his eyes. "Are you threatening me?" "Threatening you? No, I'm promising you. If you don't stay away from Dana, I'm going to make your life very, very complicated. You can't do anything to me." I pulled out my phone and showed him the photos Jake had taken. Austin and Dana entering the motel room, Austin and Dana kissing in the parking lot, Austin's hand on Dana's pregnant belly. "Iowa's a no-fault divorce state," I said conversationally. "But adultery still matters when it comes to custody and asset division, especially when one party can prove premeditation and fraud." Austin's face went white. "You've been spying on us?" "I've been protecting my interests. There's a difference." I put my phone away and smiled. "Here's what's going to happen, Austin. You're going to walk away from Dana. You're going to delete her number, block her on social media, and pretend she never existed. And if I don't, what? Then you'll find out exactly how creative an EMT can get when someone threatens his family." I turned and walked back to Jake's truck, leaving Austin standing alone in the motel parking lot. Through the rear window, I watched him fumble for his car keys with shaking hands. "How'd it go?" Jake asked as I climbed back into the passenger seat. "Phase 2 complete," I said, pulling out my phone to text Miriam. "Now we wait for them to panic." They panicked beautifully. Dana came home from her baby shower acting jumpy and distracted. She kept checking her phone and starting conversations that went nowhere. "How was the shower?" I asked innocently. "Fine. Good. Lots of cute baby stuff." She wouldn't meet my eyes. "How was the game?" "Exciting finish. Jake and Marcus came over for a while." "That's nice." She disappeared into the bathroom, and I heard her whispering urgently into her phone. I couldn't make out the words, but the tone was pure panic. Over the next few days, Dana's behavior became increasingly erratic. She snapped at me over minor things, forgot conversations we'd had hours earlier, and spent most of her time texting frantically. Austin, meanwhile, had gone completely silent. No more helpful real estate advice, no more dinner invitations, no more surprise appearances at our apartment viewings. "Everything okay, babe?" I asked one evening as Dana paced around our living room like a caged animal. "You seem stressed." "I'm fine, just pregnancy hormones." "Maybe you should call Austin. He seemed to have a calming effect on you." Dana's phone slipped from her hands and clattered to the floor. "Why would I call Austin?" "I don't know. You two seemed close. I thought maybe he could give you some advice about dealing with stress." "We're not that close," Dana said quickly. He was just helping with the apartment stuff." "Right. Speaking of which, I signed the lease papers today." Dana's eyes widened. "You did? Without me?" "You said you trusted my judgment. Besides, you seemed distracted lately. I figured I'd handle the paperwork myself." What I didn't tell her was that I'd signed a lease for a one-bedroom apartment across town, just for me. The Riverside luxury apartment application had been mysteriously withdrawn due to credit issues. "Where did you sign a lease?" Dana asked carefully. "The Riverside place, of course. Where else?" Dana's relief was visible. "Oh, good. That's great, honey." Poor Dana. She had no idea that her dream apartment was about to become a nightmare. The next morning, I got a call from Jake while I was restocking the ambulance. "You need to see this," he said without preamble. "Meet me at Murphy's Pub after your shift. And Caleb, bring Miriam." Murphy's Pub was the kind of dive bar where off-duty first responders went to decompress. Dim lighting, cheap beer, and bartenders who minded their own business. Jake was already there when Miriam and I arrived, nursing a beer and looking grim. "What's so urgent?" Miriam asked, sliding into the booth beside me. Jake pulled out his phone and set it on the table. "I've been keeping an eye on Austin like you asked. This morning, I followed him to a coffee shop downtown. He met with someone, a woman I didn't recognize. They talked for about an hour, and I managed to get close enough to hear some of it. And? Austin's in trouble. Big trouble. Apparently his last divorce didn't go as smoothly as he thought. His second ex-wife figured out his scam, and she's been building a case against him. She's got evidence that he's been running marriage cons for years." Miriam leaned forward. "What kind of evidence?" "Financial records, recordings, testimony from other victims. She's planning to file fraud charges against him, and she's been tracking down all his recent targets to warn them." "Including Dana?" "That's where it gets interesting." Jake took a long pull from his beer. "The woman Austin was meeting with? That was his ex-wife. And she's not just building a case against Austin, she's offering to help his current victims get revenge. I felt a cold smile spread across my face. How poetic. There's more, Jake continued. Austin's desperate. His ex-wife has frozen his assets, his car dealership is under investigation, and he's facing serious jail time. He's trying to convince Dana to run away with him, somewhere without extradition treaties. He wants Dana to flee the country? With your baby and whatever money she can grab from your accounts. Jake's expression darkened. He's not just trying to steal your wife, Caleb. He's trying to steal your kid. The pub went quiet around us. Miriam's pen had stopped moving across her legal pad. Even the bartender seemed to sense the shift in atmosphere. When? I asked quietly. Soon. Maybe this week. Austin's getting more desperate by the day, and Dana's starting to panic about you getting suspicious. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my recent call log. Time to force their hand. What are you thinking? Miriam asked. I'm thinking it's time for a family meeting. That evening I came home with flowers and takeout from Giuseppe's. The same combination that had started this whole mess weeks ago. Dana was on the couch, laptop open, typing furiously. Working on something important? I asked, setting the food on the coffee table. Just baby stuff. Registry updates. I glanced at her laptop screen before she could close it. Email to someone named AR. Austin Reed. Dana, we need to talk. She looked up sharply. About what? About us. Our marriage. Our future. I sat down beside her, close enough to see the panic in her eyes. I've been doing a lot of thinking lately, and I realize we haven't been completely honest with each other. What do you mean? I mean, I know about Austin. The color drained from Dana's face. Know what about Austin? Everything. The motel, the apartment scam, the divorce plan, all of it. Dana's laptop slid off her knees and hit the floor. Caleb, I can explain. Can you? Can you explain why my pregnant wife has been planning to destroy me while I'm working double shifts to support our family? It's not like that. Then what is it like, Dana? Enlighten me. She started crying. Big, dramatic sobs that might have worked on me a month ago. Now they just made me angry. I never meant for this to happen, she wailed. Austin said, he said you didn't appreciate me. He said I deserved better. And you believed him? He made me feel special, like I mattered. You're my wife. You're carrying my child. How much more could you possibly matter? Dana's tears stopped abruptly. Your child. How do you know it's your child? The words hit me like a physical blow. What did you just say? Nothing. I didn't mean... Dana, is this baby mine? She wouldn't meet my eyes. Of course it is. Look at me and say it. Caleb, you're scaring me. Look at me and say it. Dana flinched but finally met my gaze. The baby is yours. But I could see the lie in her eyes, the uncertainty, the fear. When did you start sleeping with Austin? I didn't... When, Dana? 4 months ago, she whispered. But the baby is yours. I'm sure of it. 4 months ago. Right around the time she would have conceived. I stood up slowly, my legs feeling like rubber. Get out. What? Get out of my apartment, now. Caleb, please, get out. Dana scrambled to her feet, grabbing her purse and laptop. Where am I supposed to go? Call Austin. I'm sure he'll take care of you. You can't just throw me out. I'm pregnant. With someone else's baby. You don't know that. Neither do you. I opened the front door and held it for her. But we're going to find out. Tomorrow we're getting a paternity test. I won't do it. Then you can explain to a judge why you're refusing, along with everything else you're going to have to explain. Dana stared at me for a long moment, then grabbed her coat and stormed out. You'll regret this, Caleb. Austin will make sure you regret this. I closed the door behind her and immediately called Miriam. It's done, I said when she answered. Dana's out, and I think the baby might not be mine. Interesting development. This could actually work in our favor. How? If the child isn't biologically yours, Dana has no claim to child support. And if she's been committing paternity fraud, we can pursue criminal charges. What about Austin? Oh, Austin's about to have much bigger problems than your wife? I just got off the phone with his ex-wife's attorney. They're filing charges tomorrow morning. I sank onto my couch, suddenly exhausted. So, what happens now? Now? Now we watch Dana and Austin destroy each other trying to save themselves. And then we pick up the pieces. The paternity test results came back on a Tuesday morning that felt like the end of the world and the beginning of a new life all at once. I sat in Miriam's office, staring at the official document that confirmed what I'd already known in my heart. 0 probability of paternity, Miriam read aloud. Caleb, you are not the father of Dana's child. I should have felt devastated. Instead, I felt free. Where does this leave us legally? In an incredibly strong position. Dana committed paternity fraud, adultery, and conspiracy to commit financial fraud. Austin's facing criminal charges for his marriage scam operation. And you get to walk away from this with everything intact. What about Dana? Dana's about to learn a very expensive lesson about choosing the wrong man to betray. That afternoon, I got a panicked phone call from Dana. She'd been staying at Austin's apartment since I'd thrown her out, but apparently that arrangement had just become complicated. "Caleb, please, I need your help," she sobbed into the phone. "Austin's been arrested. They froze all his accounts. I don't have anywhere to go." "What did Austin get arrested for?" "Fraud. His ex-wife pressed charges. She says he's been scamming women for years. Imagine that. Please, Caleb, I know I made mistakes, but I'm pregnant. I need..." "Dana, we got the paternity test results back." Silence. "The baby isn't mine." More silence. "Which means you've been lying to me for months. About the pregnancy, about Austin, about everything." "Caleb, I can explain." "No, you can't. There's no explanation that makes this okay." I took a deep breath. "I've filed for divorce. You'll be served papers tomorrow." "You can't do this to me." "I'm not doing anything to you, Dana. You did this to yourself." "I'll fight you. I'll take everything." "With what lawyer? Austin's broke, remember? And good luck finding someone to take your case pro bono when they find out about the paternity fraud." Dana's sobs turned to rage. "You bastard. You planned this. You set us up." "I didn't set you up, Dana. I just didn't stop you from hanging yourselves." The line went silent. 2 days later, Jake called me with an update. "You're not going to believe this, but Dana showed up at the firehouse looking for you. Chief Morrison had to escort her out." "What did she want?" "Money, apparently. She's broke, homeless, and Austin's lawyer won't even return her calls. She's trying to claim you're still responsible for the baby since you were married when she got pregnant." "That's not how paternity works. Tell that to Dana. She's also been calling your old friends, trying to turn them against you, claiming you abandoned a pregnant woman, threw her out on the streets, all that victim stuff. Is it working? With some people, yeah. You know how it is? They hear pregnant woman and stop listening to facts." That stung more than I'd expected. Some of these people had been at our wedding, had celebrated with us, had seemed like real friends. But Jake was right. The narrative of the cruel husband abandoning his pregnant wife was easier to digest than the truth about adultery and fraud. "There's something else," Jake continued. "Dana's been seen around town with a new guy, some lawyer she met at Legal Aid. Already? Apparently she's got a type, guys who can solve her problems. But here's the kicker. The lawyer's married." I almost felt sorry for Dana's new target. Almost. The divorce proceedings were swift and brutal. With the paternity test results and recorded evidence of Dana's fraud, she had no leverage. She got nothing. No alimony, no property, no support. The only thing she walked away with was the debt from the luxury apartment lease she'd insisted on signing. But the real justice came 3 weeks later at the annual EMT appreciation dinner. It was a big community event. Firefighters, paramedics, police officers, city officials, and their families all gathered at the downtown convention center to honor first responders. I'd almost skipped it. The last thing I wanted was to face the whispers and sideways glances from people who'd heard Dana's version of our divorce. But Jake convinced me to go. "You've got nothing to be ashamed of," he said. "Hold your head up and let people see the truth." The convention center was packed with familiar faces. Colleagues, friends, community leaders. I was making small talk with some firefighters when I saw her. Dana, dressed in a tight black dress that showed off her pregnant belly, hanging on the arm of a middle-aged man in an expensive suit. Her new lawyer boyfriend, presumably. She spotted me at the same moment, and her face went pale. Then, as I watched, her expression shifted to something calculating and cruel. "Ladies and gentlemen," Dana's voice cut through the crowd as she grabbed the microphone from the event coordinator. "I'd like to say a few words about what it really means to be married to a first responder." The room went quiet. I felt Jake tense beside me. "My ex-husband is here tonight," Dana continued, her voice dripping with fake emotion. "Caleb Foster. He's being honored for his service to the community, but I want you all to know what kind of man he really is." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I saw people turning to look at me, their expressions ranging from curiosity to sympathy to disgust. "Caleb threw me out of our home when I was 6 months pregnant," Dana announced. "He abandoned his unborn child because he decided he didn't want the responsibility anymore. He left me homeless, penniless, and alone." The murmurs grew louder. I felt the weight of hundreds of eyes on me, judging me, condemning me. So when you're honoring these so-called heroes tonight, Dana's voice rose dramatically, remember that some of them are only heroes when they are wearing their uniforms? She handed the microphone back to the stunned coordinator and started to walk away, her lawyer boyfriend trailing behind her. That's when I made my decision. Actually, I called out, my voice carrying across the silent room, since we're sharing stories about what it means to be married to a first responder, I'd like to add something. Dana froze. The coordinator looked confused but handed me the microphone. My ex-wife is right about one thing, I began, my voice steady and clear. I did ask her to leave our home, but not because I didn't want responsibility, because I found out the child she's carrying isn't mine. Gasps echoed through the room. Dana's face went white. You see, while I was working double shifts to support our family, Dana was having an affair with a man named Austin Reed. Some of you might know him. He's currently in jail for running marriage fraud scams on unsuspecting women. I pulled out my phone and connected it to the sound system. Dana claims I abandoned her, but I think you should hear what she really thinks about marriage and responsibility. The baby monitor recording filled the convention center. Dana's voice, clear as crystal, talking about her plan to divorce me, take my money, and disappear with Austin. Once this baby comes, I'll file for divorce. Child support, alimony, the whole apartment. Austin says the system always sides with mothers. He's so gullible, Mom. Caleb actually believes I love him. He'll never see it coming. The room erupted. People were shouting, pointing, some applauding. Dana tried to run, but the crowd blocked her path. Her lawyer boyfriend had already disappeared. So yes, I continued as the chaos swirled around me. I asked my wife to leave, because she wasn't my wife anymore. She was a stranger wearing my wife's face, plotting to destroy everything I'd worked for while I was out saving lives. I handed the microphone back to the coordinator and walked through the crowd toward the exit. People reached out to shake my hand, pat my back, offer words of support. The narrative had shifted completely. Behind me, I could hear Dana screaming, trying to explain, but no one was listening anymore. Outside the convention center, Jake caught up with me. Holy shit, brother, that was incredible. It needed to be said. Dana looked like she wanted to murder you. I shrugged. Dana's got bigger problems than me now. Her lawyer boyfriend just dumped her in front of half the city, Austin's in jail, and everyone knows the truth about what she did. What happens now? Now? Now, I get my life back. 6 months later, I got a text from an unknown number. It was a photo of a baby, Dana's baby, with a message. Your daughter is beautiful. Too bad you'll never know her. I showed the message to Miriam, who laughed out loud. Dana's still trying to play games? Apparently. Forward that to me. Harassment and attempted fraud. We can add it to her file. I deleted the message without responding. Dana and her child were no longer my problem. Austin was serving 2 years for fraud. Dana was working at a gas station outside town, her lawyer boyfriend having dumped her the night of the EMT dinner. As for me, I was finally free to build the life I actually wanted, with people who actually deserved my trust. Some stories don't have happy endings, but sometimes justice is enough.